Was that a Pinocchio?
1-1, sky to right. Deep and gone!
Sanchez, pitch went deep to left field, going back, Gurriel looking up, see ya! A two-run home run for Sanchez, and the Yankees lead 2-1.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Between the Lines. I am your host, Tanner Kern, and this show is dedicated to all things baseball. Thank you for joining me tonight. Thank you for not tuning into ESPN, watching Sunday Night Countdown, whatever they call it for Sunday Night Baseball show. Thank you for tuning in to Between the Lines because we have all the news you guys need to be caught up around the league. So, got a jam-packed episode for you guys. We're going to be talking about the Dodgers and the Padres, the most exciting thing that has happened in baseball this season. The Dodgers are currently up 2-0. They're playing their third game right now. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Going to talk about the Yankees. Got some trouble in the Bronx. The Yankees were swept by the Rays in a 3-game series that concluded today. So there could be some riots outside of Yankee Stadium, the Bronx Zoo. I'm not talking about the one with the animals. I'm talking about the house that Ruth built. And then we're going to talk about some rule changes that are taking place in the Atlantic League, which is a official partner of Major League Baseball. And those rules are probably going to be implemented in the show in the coming year, so it's important to know them. So let's get into today's show. First, though, please subscribe. Subscribe to the Sports 2.0 Network YouTube channel. We have a lot of great content creators over there. I'm doing my daily picks every day. We're currently 119 and 94, I believe, so we're doing pretty well there. Also going to be doing some more baseball content on there. All the shows are streamed to YouTube. And then we're also have some other guys doing baseball, basketball, football. A lot of different content is going to start going up there. So please make sure you hit that subscribe button right now before we get into the show. So thank you guys who have subscribed. It really means a lot to me and all the other content creators over at the Sports 2.0 Network. So, batting leaders. Let's get into this. Brandon Nimmo leading the lead in average, 444. Amazing, 444. Nimmo is a great hitter, has a great eye, is very selective at the plate, and that's why he's been able to bat 444. But the biggest story, I think, on this list in the offensive leaders is Ronald Acuna Jr. Now, the Braves are struggling a little bit. It's no secret the Braves are struggling. Ever since Ronald Acuna Jr. and the Braves got screwed last Sunday night against the Philadelphia Phillies by the replay officials in New York, they have not been the same team. They haven't. But Ronald Acuna is the one player on that team that is dominating. I mean, you look at his stats, 7 home runs, 20 runs. He's just doing whatever it takes to win. Now, the next best hitter on that team right now is Freddie Freeman. And Freddie Freeman's only batting .212. He has hit 5 home runs, which isn't bad, but he's only batting .212. How are the Braves going to win with one batter? That's the thing. But Ronald Acuna continues to shine, one of the best young players in this game. So shout out to him for having such a great season thus far. JD Martinez, bounce back year this year, obviously. Last season, he was horrendous. I mean, that was the theme among a lot of players, that short 60-game slate. But JD Martinez has bounced back with aggression this season, like a Christian Yelich. Now, Christian Yelich is on the DL with a back injury now, but JD Martinez is one of those guys put last year aside and is bouncing back. 17 RBIs so far. I think he's leading the league in doubles as well, which is not on this list. But JD Martinez is playing like a stud, and he is the reason that Boston was able to come back after getting swept by the Baltimore Orioles and whip off 9 straight wins, and almost 10 if it wasn't for a blown inning in the 9th against the Minnesota Twins. Nimmo is also on this list. So if you look, it's JD Martinez, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Brandon Nimmo. And then Laureano is leading the league in stolen bases with 8 over in Oakland. And Oakland's really hot right now, too. We'll talk about them in a little bit. But those are your offensive leaders so far. Your pitching leaders, no surprise there. Who's at the top of the list in ERA? Jacob deGrom. As you can see, I got my Mets shirt on. I was supposed to go see Jacob deGrom pitch this week. I drive all the way from Connecticut to Citi Field, get inside, do a couple laps around the stadium. It looks good. The weather looks okay. It didn't look good the night before. Starts downpouring right before first pitch. Had to drive all the way home from New York and did not get to see Jacob deGrom pitch. I was very, very upset about that because I love watching Jacob deGrom, one of the best pitchers in the game, if not the best pitcher in the game. So Jacob deGrom is your ERA leader right now with a .45 ERA. If you guys don't know what that means, it means he's giving up less than 1 run per inning. He's giving up less than a half a run per inning, I should say. Shane Bieber set a big-time record day. He's the only pitcher in MLB history to start his first 4 consecutive starts to have 10 strikeouts, which is amazing. Bieber is a legit ace. He's leading Cleveland. Cleveland's bats have gone soft sometimes. We haven't seen their offense, but Bieber is the reason that this team is still winning games. He's like a Garrett Cole in New York. He's like a Jacob deGrom. Whenever he takes the mound, that team expects to win. So good job to Shane Bieber this year thus far. I'm sure he will keep it going. Then you got Corbin Burns, I should say, wins. He's leading the league in wins, hits, inning pitched, .22. Corbin Burns also in opponent batting average. So awesome job by these three pitchers. They are absolute studs. Now Garrett Cole is in the second and third spots in these statistics, so look for him as well. But the Yankees aren't giving him enough run support, and I think it's messing with his head a little bit. So let's get into the AL updates. Keep this quick tonight. Now keep in mind, on Sundays, guys, some games are still going on, so these aren't totally up to date. And now the first game, like Boston plays a doubleheader. Their first game is included in this, but there are some games that aren't included because the stats aren't up to date because there's games going on. So look at the Red Sox right now, leading the AL East. Everyone thought they sucked after the Baltimore Orioles swept them to start the season. I thought the Baltimore Orioles weren't as bad as they were after they swept the Red Sox. I thought the Red Sox were going to be awful. They whip off 9 straight wins. They're 10-5. They're one of the hottest teams in baseball. In their past 10, they're 8-10, as you can see. Tampa Bay wins today. They beat the Yankees. They sweep the Yankees. Tampa Bay has only played well against the Yankees, and they haven't even played great against the Yankees. They win on pitching and getting enough runs. That's how I would describe it. Keep the games close, and their offense will find a way. They found a way 3 times against New York this week, which is not good for those Bronx Bombers. Baltimore 7-8. Toronto 7-8. Look for Toronto next week when we talk on Sunday night to be up there. Probably number 2 on this list, maybe even number 1. If Boston starts to slide a little bit. You've got big-time hitters. Vladdy is heating up. He's batting over 400 right now. You got a young core in this team. You got Bo Bichette. You got Kevin Biggio. George Springer has not even stepped on the field for the Toronto Blue Jays yet. Okay, so this team's going to be pretty dangerous. Steven Matz is pitching out of his mind right now. So they got some options. They're going to be a little short with their arms, but they're doing okay right now. I think when they get Springer back, it's really going to help that pitching because they're going to get a little more run support. And then the Yankees, I'm going to save them for later because we're going to talk about them in a separate segment, but not good right now in New York. That's all I have to say. Go to the Central Division. That's surprising that Kansas City's 8-5. They have been on a roll. Like I said before, earlier in the season, they're going to be one of the most fun teams to watch in baseball, and that's who they are. You got a guy like Whit Merrifield, just shows up to the yard, does his job. He's going to get 3 hits no matter what. That's the kind of team that says they're a grinded-out team. Salvador Perez, one of the best catchers of all time, is still raking at 31, I believe, 30. They're just a solid ball club, and they do enough to win games. Cleveland's going to ride with Shane Bieber. I think they need a little more in that pitching rotation to be dangerous, but when they get runs, they can be okay. Now, the bats have gone cold a good amount this year, but they still are in second place in the Central. Chicago, look for Chicago to start taking steps forward. They got Tim Anderson back today against the Red Sox. First at bat of the day today, goes yard after being on the DL. So look for Tim Anderson to step up. Minnesota just doesn't have enough arms, in my opinion. When they get hitting the ball, they're going to be okay. But Minnesota is not there yet. I think this is going to be Chicago's division. I think Cleveland has a chance. Minnesota will be up there. I don't think they're going to win the division. They were originally my pick to win the division. I just don't think that's going to happen now. Detroit, 6-9. They played out of their minds when they went to play the Houston Astros. They swept the Houston Astros, but they were unable to win since then. So look for Detroit to not be as good as we thought they were going to be when they swept the Houston Astros. AJ Hinch is their manager. He was the old Houston Astros manager when they cheated, and that's probably why they played well. They played well for their manager, but then they haven't been able to win since. As you can see, they're on a 3-game losing streak. In the West, LA hasn't been able to play much because of COVID. They got a whole series basically wiped out this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, because of COVID. Seattle's doing better than we thought they would be. That's thanks to a guy like Kyle Seager. Kyle Seager is helping lead this team to the promised land. Oakland could be the hottest team in baseball right now. No surprise there. They started very slow, but they won 7 in a row. We'll see if they can keep that going today. They're playing right now. Houston's dealing with the injury bug. So once they get people back, I mean, they got to take some COVID shots. Alex Bregman's not playing today. Yuli Gurriel's not playing today. Martin Maldonado's not playing today. There's one more guy's not playing today. But bottom line is, Altuve. Altuve's not playing today. Five or six guys have COVID problems right now because of contact tracing. So they got to get healthy, and they got to really consider their testing and their staying out. I'm not going to get into it. Don't want to speak politics, but they got to figure it out injury-wise. And they've had some regular injuries too, not just COVID. So that's hurt them. Texas is bad. No other way to describe it. In the National League, the Mets have gotten a lot of games canceled due to postpone for weather, COVID protocol. Marcus Stroman, last time I checked my phone, he's dealing right now. I don't know if he still is, but look for them to probably get a win today. Philadelphia did win today. They're getting better. As long as Bryce Harper hits, Philadelphia is going to be good. That's the bottom line with them. Miami's going to be tough. Same thing, 7-8. That's what I expected out of them. You got a guy like Sandy Alcantara on the mound. You got Chaz Chisholm at second base. You got guys that can play there. They're just not there yet totally, but they're going to give every team a fight. Washington, Atlanta. I'm a little surprised with Atlanta. I think they'll get back in their groove. But like I said before, when they played Philadelphia last Sunday night on ESPN for Sunday Night Baseball, the replay official screwed them, and hey, that's what happens. Couldn't find a rhythm since then. So you got to blame the umpires, the replay crew in New York. In the Central Division, Cincinnati, they lost today. I don't think Cincinnati's going to be up there much longer. I think by the time we talk next week, I don't think Cincinnati's going to be a top team. Milwaukee's got some injuries. Christian Yelich is now on the DL with back injury. They signed Christian Yelich to be the future of their franchise. They're talking about releasing him now in the next year or trading him because he's going to be 30. He's got back issues. They thought he cleaned up his back issues when they signed him to the massive deal. He's starting to hit the ball, but they can't build around a player that gets injured all the time. So Christian Yelich, that's a tough blow for Milwaukee because they don't have many hitters in that lineup. They went out, they got a Jackie Bradley Jr. who is going to be good at the bottom of the lineup, but they don't have enough at the top of the lineup to really get anything done. Now you got Corbin Burns on the mound, obviously. He's a damn stud, but that's one guy. So they need runs, they need consistent run support for their pitchers. St. Louis, same thing with them. Not enough pitching. I mean, you got a guy like Adam Wainwright. Adam Wainwright's, I think he's 100 years old by now. He is not a number 2 pitcher. And if you're expecting him to be a number 2 pitcher, you're going to lose games. Jack Flaherty, reputable ace. It could be an ace on any team. When you got Adam Wainwright coming in number 2 out of the rotation and expecting to win games, you're in trouble. Now, if Adam Wainwright was your number 5, I think you're in pretty good shape. St. Louis doesn't have enough pitching. It's a shame because you look at their hitting numbers. They're leading the league or top 3 in the league in like hard hit percentage, power percentage, all these advanced analytics. So they can hit, they just can't pitch consistently. Now Jack Flaherty on the mound is a different story. Chicago scored 14 runs yesterday, I believe, 13 or 14 runs. That was the most they have scored all season. Their highest before that was only 5 runs. When Chicago gets their bats going, they're not a bad team. They're just not a good team. I would say they're a middle of the division team. If they get their bats consistently going like they did yesterday, they could win the Central because the Central isn't that good. But you got a guy like Kyle Hendricks on the mound. You got Jake Arrieta. You got guys that can pitch. I think they're a little past their prime. But this Chicago team, the days of the championship Chicago teams are over for now. They need to rebuild. They got 4 guys going to free agency like Javi Baez. They're in trouble moving forward. But it was good to see them hit the ball yesterday because we hadn't seen it all year. Pittsburgh, they've done okay without Ke'Bryan Hayes. Ke'Bryan Hayes is back in the lineup now after he was on the 10-day DL, I believe, with a hamstring issue. So he is back in the lineup now. Look for Pittsburgh to start climbing a little bit. I don't think they're going to be as bad as we thought they would be, but they're still going to finish in the bottom of the Central. In the West, best division in baseball because of the top 2 teams. You got the Los Angeles Dodgers at 13-2. They're playing right now against the Padres. I don't have the score. But I picked them to win today. Then you got the Padres at 9-7. They've lost the past 2 to the Dodgers. Fernando Tatis Jr. did return to the lineup, which is promising for them, but he's still got a lot to work on. San Francisco's been a big surprise. It's a shame for San Francisco because they're in such a good division. They're in a good division with 2 really solid teams like the Dodgers and the Padres. And then the bottom 2 teams are so bad, they're like in that middle, they're in limbo because they're not going to be able to surpass the Dodgers or the Padres in a 162-game season. And they're going to blow out the Diamondbacks in the Rockies most of the time. So it's going to be an interesting race. Expect some changes next week, but not a whole lot of movement. Like LA's probably going to win that division, 100%. Cody Bellinger isn't even playing right now, and they're winning. They're going to win 112 games without Cody Bellinger. So The West is pretty locked in. Expect some movement in the Central. Expect some movement in the East next week. So let's talk about the Dodgers and the Padres series. Now, the Dodgers lead this series 2-0. Again, they're playing right now. It's been a wild series. This picture up in the corner of your screen here, there was a fight on a replay between Clayton Kershaw and I forget what runner it was on first base for the Padres, but the benches have cleared twice in this series already. The animosity is high. Justin Turner said when the Dodgers play the Padres 19 times this season, they're going to play 19 World Series games because it's that big. It matters that much to all these players on the field. So I want to get into some clips. The first game of this series went 12 innings, 5 hours, and it ended 8-6, thanks to, or 11-6. And Corey Seager got it going here. Here's the clip of Corey Seager going yard in the 12th inning against the San Diego Padres.
Dodgers looking for their first extra innings run. And this their fourth try. Seager gets into a ball. Way back there. It's gone. First pitch of the 12th. A two-run shot from Corey Seager. Dodgers 8, Padres 6.
The Padres have had the Dodgers on the ropes. The champ has been on the ropes, but you got to knock them out. They've been punching at each other.
So the Padres were unable to put the Dodgers away. That was with no outs in the top of the 12th inning. Then they got the bats going, end up winning that game 11-6. The score does not resemble how close that game was. Unbelievable game. I was up till 3 in the morning, East Coast time, 4 in the morning, East Coast time, watching that game. It was so exciting. I just couldn't sleep because it was that good. Now, the next night, it's a defensive battle. Kershaw goes against Yu Darvish. Kershaw was fantastic. Greatest pitcher of this generation. If you don't think Kershaw is the greatest pitcher of this generation, I don't know what's wrong with you. But Kershaw didn't end up winning the game for him. Mookie Betts did. Now, Mookie Betts has paid a lot of money, and he deserves it after making this catch here. So let me paint a little picture for you guys. The Dodgers were up 2-0 in the bottom of the 9th inning. They throw the ball, whoever's on the mound. Mookie Betts makes a diving catch in the outfield. There was a runner on second and third base. If the ball drops, we're going to extra innings, or the Padres could win it in regulation. But thanks to Mookie Betts, amazing catch. They got the job done. Dodgers win. Dodgers take game 2 of the series. So here's the catch.
Swatted to right center field. Diving play. A walk-off catch. Mookie magic. The Dodgers 2, the Padres nothing. They've taken the first 2 out of 19 in 2021.
From your days in Little League, you are first taught on defense to think, what am I going to do if the ball is hit to me? Well, Mookie Betts knew that before the pitch.
Now, what a catch. You get the chest bump. That was awesome to see. Now, I told you guys I don't love any team in this league. I'm a baseball fan, but I do favor the Dodgers. I do like them a lot. So that was great to see. I'm not a big Padres fan, but Mookie Betts, LA, you guys should be thanking him. That was an unbelievable catch. The hand-eye coordination it took to make that catch was insane. And Cody Bellinger's hurt right now. If Cody Bellinger's playing center field, because usually if he was healthy, he would be playing center field. Mookie would be in left field. That catch would not have happened. Cody Bellinger's not getting that ball. I don't care if you think he's getting the ball, he's not. Mookie Betts makes that play, the unbelievable hand-eye coordination. Shout out to Mookie. Great catch. So the grudge matches today, I'm picking the Dodgers to take the San Diego Padres down 3 games. So if they do sweep them, we've got 16 games left of this World Series type matchup before the postseason, and I feel like these guys will be playing again in the postseason because the Padres are going to roll every other team besides the Dodgers. So let's talk about the Yankees. Now, if you look at how the Dodger season's going, it's trending upward. I mean, they are fantastic. You look at the Yankees, disappointment. Absolute disappointment. So trouble in the Bronx, as you can see down in the corner of the screen. They were swept by the Rays this weekend. They're not in good shape right now. It's bad in New York. The Yankees were projected to, win the American League East with ease. Probably take the AL pennant and maybe even contend with the Dodgers. I hate to say this now. They were my pick to win the World Series. And you know what? Still early. It's only week 2 of the MLB season. There's plenty of time left. But here's the thing. You can't win a season early, but you can definitely lose a season early. The Yankees don't have an easy path to the playoffs now. Knowing that Toronto is heating up, they're going to get Springer back. Knowing that they always play bad against the Rays. They don't have an easy path. They have a very, very difficult path. The Red Sox, after the first week of the season, you could write the Red Sox off every game they play the Yankees as a win for them, but it's not the case right now. And if you're a Yankees fan, you should be very disappointed with this club. It's going to break. There's going to be a time when Stanton starts hitting, when Judge starts hitting, but when? That's what you got to ask when. And that's baseball. You don't know. So here's a clip from Friday night in the Bronx. Now, on Friday night, the Yankees got embarrassed by the Rays. They got beat on Saturday as well, 6-3 with Tyler Glasnow on the mound. They got beat today with Garrett Cole pitching for the Yankees. When Garrett Cole takes the mound, they expect to win, and they didn't get the job done today. This was a must-win game for New York with Garrett Cole on the mound, not because of the standings, but because they needed this mentally to say, okay, when Garrett Cole's on the mound, at least we know we're going to win, we're going to hit. It didn't happen today. So here's a clip from Friday night with disappointed fans. This was the loudest the stadium got all night after the first couple runs the Rays scored. It was 8-2 in the 8th inning, and the fans started throwing baseballs on the field and everything else. And when the PA announcer came on and said, please stop throwing stuff on the field, that's when the stadium got the loudest. When they were down 6 runs, that's all they had to cheer for, was throwing things on the field. So here's the clip, Trouble in the Bronx.
Ball got loose in the outfield. Well, they're throwing things on. There's a couple of other. Man, a lot of balls are. Looks like they're coming from the stands. I don't know why there would be that many people with baseballs. That's just wrong.
Stop coming out of the stands. Please.
You got to be better than that.
Objects onto the field. Thank you.
And being announced over the. And they just keep coming. And Rosarena, somebody's going to get hurt too. The umpires should pull them off the field. That's not what you want. That's disgraceful. Somebody could get hurt for absolutely no reason. And now another ball goes out towards shortstop.
So there's really not much else to see there. Just a lot of people throwing things on the field. The Yankees are now 5-10 after getting swept by the Rays. They have the worst record in the American League. So the team that was projected to hands down wipe everyone clean in the American League is 5-10 to start the season. It's only 2 weeks. I did write an article on this a few weeks ago. Are the Yankees in trouble? A lot of people, I took a poll on my social media. Most people said the Yankees are not in trouble. I would tend to disagree with that. Not because their standings, not because of the record. I don't think the record means much right now in week 2. I think their inability to get a win is going to mentally affect that clubhouse. The record, they can recover from the record. That's no concern. You look at teams all the time. They whip off, they get hot in the summer, but the mental aspect of this, they need to recover, especially with the Red Sox heating up, because you wait too long, that division's out of reach. So the Atlantic League. Now, I'm going to not spend too much time on this, but this is important to know because these changes are probably coming to the big leagues. Maybe next year, definitely the year after. I don't know when whenever they negotiate the CBA. If these go well in the Atlantic League season this year, they're gonna probably institute them in Major League Baseball. Which I'm not a fan of all these rules. I kind of like the double hook DH rule a little more than moving the rubber back, but we'll get into it. So double hook DH, this is the minor rule of this. So it's like a compromise between the American League and the National League. As you guys know, the American League plays with DHs. They've been doing it since 1983. The National League does not play with DHs. They have the pitcher bat. So the double hook DH is a compromise where there would be a DH to start the game. So for American League clubs, National League clubs, doesn't matter the park, a DH will start the game for both teams. When the first pitching substitution is made, the DH goes away. So the relief pitcher would either have to bat or you would have to use a pinch hitter. Now, this is going to take a lot of strategy. I kind of like the rule, but I would rather see a guy get a job and just hit the whole game, if that makes sense. So if you take a guy like a Giancarlo Stanton, not that I'm just going to use him because he's the first DH that came to my mind, but guy that can't hit right now. He's terrible right now, but he can hit, hopefully. So, for example, if you had the double hook DH and Giancarlo Stanton was in the DH spot if this was the rule next year, obviously American League get to play DHs all the time, but if this was the rule next year for the whole league, Giancarlo Stanton would have to leave the game once the pitcher was substituted, which I don't like that. I would rather see a DH hit the whole game. Like you look at like a Ryan Braun who possibly would come back and come out of retirement for the Brewers if there was a DH. I don't want to see a guy come in, take a at-bat or two, and then leave the game when the starting pitcher gets subbed. Because in today's world, starting pitchers are going about 3 to 4 innings in some cases. Back in the day when the starting pitcher was going, he would get, 8 innings, 7 innings. It would be his day to pitch. Now it's 3, 4 innings. If you go 5, you've done a great job. You've done your job. If you go 5, you give up a couple runs, you've done an amazing job as a starting pitcher in today's game. Which, I'm not a big fan of that, but it is what it is. I would rather see a universal DH, have everyone hit, and just let the DH hit the whole game. Let's make it fun. Let's score more runs, especially with the second change in the Atlantic League. Now, they're going to move the pitching rubber back 1 foot, which I don't know how I feel about this. I kind of like the strikeout aspect and the home run aspect. Now, the biggest complaint is the strikeout rate. The strikeout rate has gone from like 15% in 2005 to over 30% now in 2021. Okay. Pitchers are getting too good and hitters are not getting good enough. Basically, that's what the league is saying with this. So the average fastball velocity has gone from like 91 to 94 from 2005 to 2021 or something like that. So it's a way for hitters to get somewhat of an advantage. And, there's been some complaints. Oh, what about pitchers' arms? This isn't going to hurt pitchers' arms because when you think about it, pitchers aren't throwing the regular 60 feet 6 inches right now. I know that sounds crazy, but think about where your catcher sets up. The tip of the plate is 60 feet 6 inches. So if your catcher sets up 3 feet behind the plate, you're actually throwing 63 feet. So the foot is not going to make a difference on pitcher strain on the arms. Now, the first Tommy John injury we get next year is going to be, if this rule is implemented, it's going to be, it's the moving the rubber back. No, it's not the case because pitchers are throwing farther than 60 feet 6 inches. But it's going to give the hitters an advantage, which I guess is good. Hopefully it lowers the strikeout rate. The MLB is hopeful that's going to lower the strikeout rate, force people to put the ball in play, and make the game more exciting to get younger fans involved. I heard a stat, I forget what it was, but whatever the generation is coming up now, like only 10% of them identify as baseball fans. So that's what the league is afraid of because, 20 years down the road, there's not going to be as many baseball fans, and that cycle is going to continually dwindle. So they want to get younger fans involved. I don't think moving the pitching rubber back 1 foot or doing a double hook DH is going to get the fans involved. I don't think it's going to make a young kid turn off Nickelodeon and watch the baseball game. I think stuff like they did in football where they put Nickelodeon on and they include it in the baseball game, I think that would get more kids to watch. But moving the pitching rubber back 1 foot is not going to make kids more excited in the game of baseball. I don't think personally. I don't think it's going to make that much of a change where a kid's like, okay, I'm going to watch baseball now because there's more hits. I just don't think that's going to happen in my opinion, but we'll see. So the Atlantic League, just to give you guys a little update, it's not a minor league organization. It's an independent organization, which is an official affiliate of Major League Baseball. So it's where Major League Baseball tries out all their different rules and stuff, because if this was minors, they moving the rubber back 1 foot would affect them in getting to the bigs. The Atlantic League, these guys aren't affiliated with a team. A lot of them are ex-major leaguers. So the MLB tries to institute some rule changes down there. So we'll see how the double hook DH and the moving the pitching rubber back 1 foot goes. The Atlantic League season is set to start in like a month, I believe. So we'll have a pretty good indication soon and look for updates on Between the Lines about how that's going. So the final news of the night, the second no-hitter of the season. First, it was Joe Musgrove for the San Diego Padres, which was awesome to see. I loved it. I said I wasn't a Padres fan, but I did like to see that. Now it's Carlos Rodon. Awesome job by Carlos Rodon. He becomes the first pitcher to throw a no-hitter within 2 years of having Tommy John surgery. He wasn't even going to be a starter for the White Sox this year. They signed him to a 1-year deal, I think worth $3 million. Not a lot of money coming off Tommy John surgery. Didn't know he was going to have a rotation spot. Goes down to spring training, earns a rotation spot. Now he's the talk of the fantasy baseball world because everyone wants to get this guy on their roster after throwing a no-hitter the other night. So it was a little upsetting. He almost had a perfect game. He hit a guy in the 9th inning, which ruined the no-hitter, or ruined the perfect game, but at least he still got the no-hitter. So here's all 27 outs from Carlos Rodon's no-hitter. I hope you guys enjoy this.
That's why he's in the lineup. He lofts it to left, and Rodon on the ground to shortstop. Leori Garcia behind the plate. And Ramirez pops this up back toward home again. Zach Collins. Reyes end of the bat to left. Andrew Vaughn is this weekend as Rosario dejectedly watches this ball end up with Andrew. And that was, let me put you away. And he
going to take a while for these guys to get used to it.
Madrigal, studies done about this year's effect as her fastball spin rate as Chang goes up in the air to the third base side. It will be Garcia. He struck him out to second. Madrigal. Ramirez to left. Andrew Vaughn's down in the zone. Moncada sweeps it up at third and rip to shortstop. Leori Garcia. Carlos Rodon. Leori Garcia to first. Hit it hard to shortstop. Leori Garcia. Luplo's cut down. First pitch. Sky to center. Robert under it. Ramirez tattoos this ball to Andrew Vaughn. Reyes skyward and playable. Madrigal. He busted him on a fastball. 0-2. He got him. Tapper first base side. Abreu is on it. Jose got to the bag. Called strike 3. To third. Moncada. Carlos Rodon has thrown a no-hitter.
Now, that whole defense was phenomenal, but you got to thank Luis Garcia and Nick Madrigal in the middle. Those guys made some amazing plays, as you can see, to get the job done for Carlos Rodon, finish off that no-hitter. If you don't think baseball is fun, if you don't think baseball is fun to watch, and you see that, you're never going to think baseball is fun to watch, because that, you see the excitement that builds throughout the game, the first, second, third inning. You know, everyone's quiet, make some good plays, you know, 4th, 5th, 6th, okay, maybe we got a no-hitter. 7th, 8th, and 9th, people were biting their lips all night waiting for Carlos Rodon to get that job done. If you don't like baseball, you're never going to like baseball after seeing that. So moving the pitching rubber back a foot is not going to make someone like baseball more. That, you got to love this game. You got to love the atmosphere, the crowd that happens when you get some special moments like that occur. So there's my little rant for the night, but congrats to Carlos Rodon. I love seeing the underdog story, and this is just one of the best we have had this season, probably besides Trey Mancini coming back from stage 3 colon cancer and having a pretty good year so far. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching Between the Lines. Another great Sunday episode. So we will be back next Sunday at 6 p.m. for another episode. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at Tanner Kern. Now at Twitter, I'm at Tanner Kern _, but if you search Tanner Kern, you're going to find it. Follow Sports 2.0 Network, at Sports 20 Network on Twitter. Wish we could put a period in there, but Twitter doesn't let you have periods in your handles. I say it every morning. Figure it out, Twitter. And make sure to join me, guys, for daily picks every day. I'm making daily picks on YouTube on the Sports 2.0 Network. So subscribe so you get notified of every new video we make. Got me doing baseball stuff. You got a lot of other great content creators putting stuff up there every day, and it's only going to keep growing once you guys subscribe. So thank you for all the support so far. Have a great time watching Sunday Night Baseball tonight, and I will talk to you guys next week for another episode of Between the Lines.
Was that a Pinocchio?
1-1, Sky to right.